There's no doubting the beauty of the majestic Clarence. She presents a wonderful sight as she wends her way through the north coast to her Yamba meeting with the Pacific Ocean. Along the way, she passes through the city of Grafton, and it's little wonder that the people of Grafton hold her in special regard. On the October long weekend, water ski enthusiasts from 3 states converge on Grafton to contest the Bridge to Bridge Water Ski Classic, regarded as one of the toughest water ski endurance races in Australia.
184 of the top ski racing teams from New South Wales and Queensland made the journey to Grafton to take part in the 1987 Bridge to Bridge ski race, sponsored this year by the Commonwealth Bank and NRTV. The event has been raced each October long weekend on the Clarence since 1975, when 25 boats lined up to tackle the first race. The 108-kilometre course takes skiers from the Grafton Bridge down to the Harwood Bridge and return. It's not the longest ski race in Australia, but because the course is so straight, it's regarded by competitors as one of the toughest. The straightness of the river gives skiers little reprieve as they hang on behind power-laden ski boats pulling upwards of 170 kilometres an hour. It's significant that despite all prize money being dropped for the 1987 Ski Classic, the Grafton event still managed to attract a near-record field, a reflection of the high regard the race commands in the water ski racing fraternity. The 184 teams helped swell the population of Grafton by more than 3,000 over the October long weekend. On Saturday, it's time to watch the street procession and the judging of the first Bridge to Bridge Ski Race Queen. Endurance ski racing is no sport for the unfit. Hanging on behind a boat at frightening speeds for 3/4 of an hour is testing even on the strongest of bodies. On Saturday, most of the skiers prepared for Sunday's race by letting loose and watching some unusual entertainment from the balcony of the Riverfront Hotel, The Crown.
How much training do you do for the race?
I've been down here since about 10:30. He's still pumped about 3 weeks.
While the social life was high on the agenda during Saturday afternoon, the night for most was set aside for getting some much-needed sleep in preparation for Sunday's battle with the testing Clarence. It's 5:30 a.m. Sunday, and a thick fog hangs lazily over the Clarence, almost like a curtain, which will soon be raised to reveal a sporting production of major proportions. The first boats are lined up at the South Grafton boat ramp. Freshly shaven and squeaky clean from a hot early morning shower, the drivers make final checks of their boats. Most of the skiers are still in their motel rooms, tucking into a hearty breakfast, topping up their energy reserve tanks. On cue, the fog lifted, revealing almost perfect conditions for the 87 Bridge to Bridge. The first boats were to be flagged away from the bank at 8:30 a.m. It was now time for the skiers and observers to do their last-minute preparations, checking ropes, skis and buckles. Everything had to be right.
Well, one of the favourites for today's race is Bullet 1 and the driver, Ken Evans. Ken, the boat's certainly in good form for the race.
Yeah, we've hit form at the right time. Just recently, we on Lake Munmora, just north of Sydney, we broke the world record for this type of boat. We ran through the kilo at 122 mile an hour.
What do you need to win a Grafton Bridge to Bridge, besides a fast boat?
Well, you need that, but you need 2 skiers that can hang on and hang on at very fast speed. They've got to be extremely fit. and a bit of luck.
What are your two skiers like?
Well, we've got Mark Pickering, who's the current world champion, and a young guy who's trying to make a name for himself, Gavin Arnott from Victoria. So we think they're excellent.
What are the conditions like for today's race?
Well, so far it's shaping up perfectly. With a fog this morning, the river should be super smooth up the far end, so we're looking forward to it. It's our water.
Can you beat the big inboards?
I believe so. We have won this race outright. We're the only outboard boat that has ever won the race outright. So I think we're in with a show. We'll certainly give them a shake.
Mark, we've just been talking to Ken. He says his boat's in shape. If his skiers are in shape, he expects to go very well this year. What's it like hanging on at about 90 miles an hour?
It can be very good. You can have a lot of fun, but then again, you've got to be very serious because you're going so fast. Most of the time, you're just looking where you're going and just mainly just trying to keep on your feet.
You're the current world water ski racing champion. When did you get that title?
I won that in 1985 over in Barcelona in Spain. The races, there was 3 races held in Spain. One was in, they were all around the Spain area. And it was just a total aggregate points on who won out of the 3 races. And
how fast have you been behind a boat?
I've been officially clocked at 108 miles an hour.
And so that's very fast on water?
Not wrong, it's starting to get very good.
Have you ever had any bad falls?
Yeah, I've been in the ambulance and that a couple of times, but you try not to think about that when you're out there.
Yeah, well, it's a long race. How tough is the Grafton bridge to bridge?
It's one of the toughest races around. There's not that many tougher.
Well, this year, as in most, a lot of people are making their debut on the testing Clarence course, and one of them is attractive young Vanessa Burns. Vanessa, you're looking forward to the race?
Yeah, I can't wait. It'll be fun.
Is it fun to ski behind a boat for an hour?
It is. It's really good. It's hard, but it's fun. It's rewarding if you come somewhere.
And this is not your first big race, though?
No, our first race was Bridge to Bridge, 1986, and we should finish third in the under-16 girls.
And how much training do you do for a race such as the Grafton?
Quite a bit. Well, if we're not racing, we're either training, so we train out Botany Bay.
And what sort of training do you do?
Aerobics, go to the gym 4 times a week, and we do weights, running, stuff like that, stair running, whatever.
So while some of the other girls are doing netball, you're doing endurance skiing?
Yeah.
And what do you hope to do later on?
Well, I would like to win an outright in the Bridge to Bridge, but that's a bit impossible. But just come number 1.
Okay, well, you're only 15. You've got a long future in front of you. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, who's your greatest opposition in the race today?
Well, I think we're up against a very strong field. I think, you know, boats like the Judge, +1, Moonshot, Innocence, Creeper, there are a whole host of them. The field is jam-packed with top-class unlimited boats.
Stan, I know you don't come here for the prize money. What brings you up to Grafton?
The love of the sport. I think that's it. I think everybody's here for the same reason.
It's an expensive sport?
It is expensive, but I think the love outweighs the expense sometimes.
Okay, well, let's hope you can take off the trophy today.
Thanks very much indeed.
Craig William, the observer for the Blue Thunder team, all the way from Tully in North Queensland. Tell me, what's the job of the observer?
Mainly keep an eye on your skis, let your driver know what's going on, boats coming up behind you, what the skiers are doing, whether they want to slow down, pick the speed up.
Do you have signals? Do you have signals?
Yeah, main signals. With the tunnel deck, we have to sort of over-the-shoulder signal.
The Blue Thunder team a dark horse for the title?
Coast Radio.
It's always a chance for anybody, eh?
Bevan, you won the race last year. How are you going to go this year?
Well, we're going to do our best. We're going to try to win again and try to break the record again if we possibly can.
Well, the boat was certainly firing last year. Is it going as well at the moment as it was last year?
Well, we've done a few more modifications and I think it might be going just a whisker better than last year.
If I remember rightly, you had to ease off a little bit towards the end because of a motor problem.
Yeah, yes. We did a valve last year and that was about 10 miles before the finish, and hopefully everything stays together today. We should do pretty good.
Okay, so you have the record. You're going to better it this year.
We'll certainly try.
Good luck. Thanks,
Thank you.
Bevan. Okay, well, it's all down to guts and effort now. It's only 10 seconds, 5 seconds to go before the start of the 1987 Grafton Bridge to Bridge Ski Classic.
had been on the course for just over half an hour. While spectators were still watching some of the smaller craft take off, most were now looking back down the river, hoping to see the 1987 bridge-to-bridge winner come into view. Shortly, those expectations would be realised. As the bridge-to-bridge race record holder, after setting a blistering time of 42 minutes and 43 seconds to win in 1986, Sydney's Bevan Linder in the Judge was a logical favourite. What most of his competitors didn't know, however, was that one of his skiers, Martin Bailey, had injured his knee in practice and needed a pain-killing injection to take his place behind the boat. The Judge's observer was one person who was acutely aware of Bailey's injury and kept a watchful eye on the talented skier as they churned up the water on the way down to the turning buoy. After passing the earlier starters, the Judge moved out to the lead and swiftly ate up the clear, smooth water. Linder realised he didn't have things all his own way at around the 75-kilometre mark when Emu Plains driver Phil Kunz edged up towards the sleek red, white and blue-hulled flyer in his boat +1. Kunz had started some 2 minutes behind the Judge, but now trailed him by only 10 seconds. With Linder reaching for more power, the predictable happened. Skier Bailey crashed. It was the end of the race for outright victory for the Judge. With Linder throttling off to pick up his dropped skier, the river was open for +1 to charge through. Behind +1 were probably the two best skiers in the race, Rory Brown and Ken Hoy, both national champions. They signalled observer David Morris up, and Kunz opened the carbies on the intercooled Chevrolet using all of the engine's 835 horsepower to skip the boat along the Clarence at more than 100 miles per hour. +1 now had the race record in her sights.
The checkered flag has dropped on the 87 Bridge-to-Bridge Ski Classic, and the winner, +1 in the Phil Kunz team. Congratulations, Phil. What was the race like?
Very quick, very quick. The boys on the back really worked all the way, and you've got to take your hat off to them. They're two great skiers.
You had a bit of a duel with the 86 winner, the Judge down there. Did you have him covered at the time when he dropped his skier?
We were worried about him for a while till we got to the top turn, boy, and then we soon we had him covered, but the boys still pressed hard all the way, and we nearly caught him by the time then.
A great run, 41 minutes and 20-something seconds. It beats the old record. You must be very pleased with that.
I'm very pleased, and when you've got a top engine builder like Arthur Fields, it makes work a little bit easier.
Did you have a little bit up your sleeve?
Yeah, I always try to keep a little bit up our sleeve, because if you tend to try to drive the boat flat out all the time, it'll usually blow out on you. So you just try to save 100 or 200 revs.
And what sort of speeds were you topping down the river?
Would have been in very high 90s, maybe even got to 100 now and then, I don't know, but it's very high 90s for sure.
Well, to win a Grafton Bridge-to-Bridge, you have to have two very good skiers, and skiing behind +1 was Rory Brown and Ken Hoy. Congratulations on the victory. How did it feel?
Thank you. It was a super fast race, and it was a super good win. The race was near perfect for us. We may have lost 2 or 3 seconds at the most. We just went hard the whole way.
How was it for you, Ken?
Very, very quick. I finished and I thought, well, anyone that beats us today deserves a victory.
How do you put up with that sort of pain? I suppose it must be pain, 41 minutes of it.
Well, you get used to it a little bit. You just try and pace yourself on the way down. You know you're going to get tired if you run too hard, so you figure out how hard you're skiing, and around the halfway mark you know how well you feel. That's when you start either slowing down a bit more or letting a bit more go.
Well, talking about how did you feel at the halfway mark, Rory?
The halfway mark, my hands were getting really tired from hanging on so hard. This pace we were going in, some of them straightaways are so long that your hands just get so tired, and sometimes it feels like you just can't hang on anymore.
But you certainly did.
Yep.
How did you feel when you're looking at the Judge? You're only about 100 yards behind him, and then they drop their ski. Does that make you hang on just a little bit tighter? I'll ask you, Rory.
Well, we were that close to them. I thought we'd just come behind them across the finish line, but it was quite a shock to see him fall. I was very surprised.
What about you, Ken?
Well, I knew we had him because we'd started 2 minutes ahead, and I was pretty happy just to follow him to the finish line, but I think the fellas driving the boat wanted to take the line on us and be first across the line.
OK, well, I suppose you'll be lining up in the Hawkesbury Bridge-to-Bridge. You blokes be behind the boat again?
Sure will.
Yeah.
OK, well, let's hope you can make it a double victory.
Try hard.
Okay, congratulations.
Prior to the race, Ken Evans said he'd be putting it right to the more fancied inboards. And his Mercury-powered Bullet 1 did just that, as it snipped Super Fortress right on the wire to take second outright by only 1 second. Bullet 1 completed the trip 1 minute and 58 seconds behind the record-breaking +1. And while the victors accepted the handshakes from their fellow competitors, the losers accepted the loss gracefully. You know, there's no doubting, most had only come to compete in the bridge to bridge. A victory was a nice bonus. The Grafton Classic draws thousands of spectators each year, including amongst their ranks in '87, a man who makes his living by talking about boats.
Chris Conroy, what do you think of the bridge to bridge?
It's my first visit, Peter, and we're in the area shooting a feature on the area, and it was just timely that we happen to be here. It's exciting. Those big inboards get the hairs rising on the back of my neck, you know. That sound is marvellous.
How would you like to be driving one of them?
Good, I'd love it. I really did. A few years ago, I did quite a lot of boat racing, and you know, you see something like this and your blood starts to boil, and you think, boy, I'll have to get back into it.
Not skiing, though, so much?
No, thanks. Not nowadays.
Okay.
Long time ago.
Will we see any of the bridge to bridge stuff in your special?
Yeah, the special is going to cover the entire area north of Grafton, right up to the Tweed border, and right inland. We're going inland again. In fact, I might even get to ride a horse, but certainly we'll have some of the bridge to bridge in.
With the boats back on the trailers and a few ales consumed to quench the thirst fueled by a hard morning's work, the teams headed for the presentation dinner. If the prize money had been eliminated this year, the trophies certainly had not. In all, 252 would be handed out for place getters in 21 classes, ranging from the sub-junior, girls and boys, right through to the unlimited inboards. The local Clarence teams fared reasonably well this year too. Bob Mitchell's Pharaoh winning the country inboard division, and Keith Boone's Just a Sigh taking the under 5.2 litre class. But while those with trophies might have felt they were the victors for 1987, the real winner was the city of Grafton. Once again, she had played host in stylish fashion to one of the major sporting events in country New South Wales.